Hello and welcome to another episode of the MARC Medley Show. It's been a little while since I've been with you on this particular show. However, we've birthed a baby podcast or a baby show, and that show is the Live Well, Love Much, and Laugh Often show, and that's on Anchor. And it is my hope, and I encourage you to listen to both the MARC Medley Show and the Live Well, Love Much, Laugh Often show, as each serves its own purpose. The Live Well, Love Much, Laugh Often show, that one's short. 2 to 3 to 4 minutes, kind of like a stop and pop. Just to kind of give you a quick boost of encouragement or inspiration on how to live well, love much, and laugh often. So if you get an opportunity or if you see that come up, that's your host, MARC Medley. But this is the MARC Medley Show, and today's episode might be controversial depending on your view, because today's episode is my view or take or thoughts in terms of the removal or taking down or tearing down of statues. I do not support that, and I'll tell you why during this episode. The statues are what they are. They were put up at the time for whenever they were put up, whether it was General Robert E. Lee, whether it was Thomas Jefferson, whether it was Christopher Columbus, whomever the statue might have been put up for. They were put up for whatever was going on at that time, and it wasn't necessarily related to racism per se. They may have been racist, they may have been slave owners, they may have been all of that. However, when the statues were erected, I personally don't believe those are the things or the thoughts that were in place as they were erected. And even if they were they are a part of history. But this is my concern in terms of now destroying or taking down the various statues of folks who we now don't like, because of them being a racist or a segregationalist or one who supported the Confederate flag or one who owned slaves or whatever. This is why I don't necessarily support removing all of those statues. Because again, I will say they were what they were for the times that they were erected, of the people who they were in their place in history. This is my issue with this focus on removing statues. Because you can remove all the statues that you want. If the heart doesn't change, if the belief system doesn't change, if the lens that these folks view does not change, you can remove all the statues that you want and it won't matter. It won't mean a tinker's damn. All you've done is remove statues, and yet the same old racist beliefs will still remain. The same prejudices, the same white privilege, the same everything that you think taking a statue down for, that you think would change something, would stay the same. So I'm not in favor of the removal of statues. I'm not in favor of tearing down or knocking over Christopher Columbus statues. And trust me when I tell you, I am no Christopher Columbus fan. I am no Robert E. Lee fan. I am no Confederate flag waving fan. I am not. However, they are what they were and are. The statues are what they are. They do serve as a reminder. If anything, rather than tearing down statues, we need to continue to add statues of our accomplishments. We need to continue to build statues of accomplished African Americans, Hispanics, Asians, or any other person of color. If anything, I would think we need to focus on erecting those rather than tearing down the statues of those who now we no longer like. For whatever reason, we may not like them. Is it wrong to be racist? Yes, it is. Is it wrong to have been a slave owner? Yes, it was. Is it wrong to have the views that they had and to treat people the way they treated people? Yes, it was. But the tearing down of the statue really doesn't address those issues. If anything, that's just symbolic. Tearing down of a statue, that is nothing but symbolic of the issue. Okay, you've torn down a statue, and then what? And this is my next concern, which is a major concern, and that is what happens now whenever folks start tearing down statues of black people. What happens when someone says, well, you know what, you tore down my statue, so I'm going to go down and deface or defame or tear down or break down your statue of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. down in Washington, D.C. I'm going to take down the statue of Benjamin Banneker. I'm going to take down the statue of Frederick Douglass. I'm going to take down the statue of Rosa Parks. What happens when folks now say, you know what, you took down the statue of the person that I revered, so therefore I'm going to take down the statue of someone you revere? What happens when we get into that tit for tat? And to be honest with you, it's not going to be too much that we can say, because the truth be told, yes, we tore down their statue. If there's such thing as a their statue, because at the time they were put up, it was supposed to be for, quote unquote, all Americans to remember and visit and reflect upon the historical presence of that particular person. So that is a major concern for me, because someone could very well make the argument, well, guess what? I'm going down and I'm going to start ripping down the Martin Luther King statue. Now, the reason the Martin Luther King statue is special for me, because it was my fraternity, along with Dr. King's wife, who put together that statue financially. And I can tell you, I know the fundraising efforts that the Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity incorporated, the measures that we as fraternity brothers went through to get that statue first approved and then built in partnership with Coretta King and the King family. So I can only imagine, again, the loss of dollars, the loss of time, and everything else if someone were now to go down and do to the Martin Luther King statue the same thing that's being done to some of these other statues around the country. We have to move beyond emotion. We have to move beyond symbolic gestures, because they are not getting to the real issue. And that is the issue of hatred. That is the issue of white privilege, folks thinking they're entitled to something just because of their skin color. And at the same time thinking other folks should not be entitled to something because of their skin color, or should be used or abused because of their skin color. So the ripping down or the tearing downs of statues, that really, in my mind, now this is totally my mind. You could disagree all you want. You don't even have to listen. You don't have to share the post. You can get angry or what have you. But this is my view in terms of why I don't see the tearing down or the taking down of statues as effective. I get it. I understand Black Lives Matter, and we do. But the taking down of statues really doesn't do anything, in my view, to address the real issues. Yes, the statue won't be there anymore. Okay, the statue won't be there anymore. So as I said a couple of minutes ago, rather than us tearing down statues, we need to be building up our statues. We need to be building more Benjamin Banneker statues. We need to be making Reginald Lewis statues. We need to be making, for that matter, Michael Jordan statues, even though he's still alive. We need to be making John Lewis statues. And there are so many other African Americans who've made great contributions to this world that we can build statues for, rather than focusing on tearing down a Robert E. Lee, or focusing on tearing down a Christopher Columbus. Our focus is in the wrong place. Our focus is on tearing down instead of building up. Yesterday I had a wonderful opportunity, and this is my second time visiting there. It's the Ferncliff Cemetery in New York. In that cemetery, notables include Malcolm X and his wife Betty, Whitney Young, Jackie Moms Mabley, Northern J. Calloway, Cab Calloway, Yul Brynner. Notables such as that, Adolf Caesar, or Caesar Adolf, the actor, whichever way he says his name, Adolf Caesar, I believe it was. They're buried there. And I had the opportunity yesterday to visit their grave sites, to connect with a part of my ancestry, a part of my history, a part of folks who look like me, who've done great things, even though their spirits technically are there, their bodies lie there. And I had the opportunity to just visit those grave sites of where their bodies lie, folks who have contributed to the world. Northern J. Calloway was David on Sesame Street when I was a kid. Died very young, only about 40, 42 years old. His grave was there. I had a chance to visit his grave site. I remember seeing David and Susan on Sesame Street. I'm always humbled and honored and revered to visit Malcolm X's grave site. I had a chance to go by my fraternity brother Paul Robeson's website. I went by Whitney Young and his wife, their grave site. I said website, but I mean grave site. Had the opportunity to visit. I've been to Dr. King's grave site and his wife, Coretta. There's not a time that I go visit my mother in Louisville, Georgia, that I take the time to go down to Atlanta to make sure that I stop by that tomb of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and his wife now, Coretta, who's there. I've been to the grave sites of John F. Kennedy and Robert F. Kennedy and Joe Louis. I've been to those grave sites as I was in Arlington Memorial Cemetery. Yes, I'm one. It may seem a little strange, but I enjoy visiting cemeteries. I enjoy going by the grave sites of those who have gone on, who made great contributions to this world, because it connects me with their spirit. Even though their spirit is not earthly bound, even though their spirit is now in the spiritual realm, the fact that I'm visiting their grave site for my spirit connects me with them. So rather than us tearing down statues, let us build up statues, because there is enough people that we can build statues for who have contributed to the world. I know some of you are going to think, well, you know what, you're selling out. No, I'm not. I'm using some logic and some reason, because it is absolutely doing us no good whatsoever to keep ripping down statues. Yes, they are reminders, but let it be a reminder of, you know what, that's not going to happen again. Let it be a reminder of when you see a statue of a Robert E. Lee, or when you see a statue of a Christopher Columbus, or when you see a statue of whoever else we're ripping down. Because, it seems like now there's a long list of folks they're trying to take statues down for. But why not use those statues as markers for that was then, but we will never, ever let it happen again. That was then. They owned slaves. They mistreated people. They abused people based on skin color, based on economics. But when you see that statue, you look at that and say, you know what? It will never happen again. As far as the Confederate flag being taken down, yes, I agree with that being taken down. But on the same note, on the same token, to a certain degree, especially when I'm traveling in the South, if I see somebody with a Confederate flag draped across the back of their pickup truck, I know not to mess with that person. You know what? I don't have nothing for that person to do, because I know what they're about. Sometimes the good old boys let you know they the good old boys. They have no problem with riding around in their pickup trucks with a Confederate flag and a rifle draped across the back window. And I'm all right with that, because when I see that, I know, well, you know what? I ain't going to mess with them, because I understand how they believe based on their symbols. So why not use these symbols as fuel? Why not use these symbols as a jump start or a touchstone or a reflective piece that says we will never allow that to happen again. And while we're reflecting on making sure that it never happens again, we start erecting statues like we did for the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. We start erecting more statues of people of color, so that when someone reflects upon that statue or someone comes across that statue, they will know that was someone who fought for his or her people. Oh, there's a long list of males and female people of color we can build statues for. A long list, both male and female. Why not build a statue to Shirley Chisholm? Why not build a statue for... And I'm sitting here, just so many names are coming to my mind. I don't even know which one I want to offer up. Why not Chappie James? Why don't we build a statue for him? Why not Colin Powell? Why not build a statue for him? There are so many that we could build statues for, that we don't have to focus on tearing down some other statues. I think I made my point. I get it, it's getting repetitive, but you get a feel for why I'm not in support of tearing down the statues. Our focus is in the wrong place. Our focus needs to be on building up. That's only symbolic, and it's not addressing the issues. You can take down all the statues you want. If hearts aren't changed, it won't matter. You want to know more about me? Please visit my website, markamedley.com. All of my creative content is there. I do encourage you to listen to the Live Well, Love Much, Laugh Often podcast. Again, that's just a quick burst of inspiration. Unlike the longer version of this show, the Mark Medley Show, I also have my blog, The Critical Thinker. I have 2 musical works that are out, Go Up on the Third Limb and The Wrinkle Rag. All of these things are available digitally. And again, if you want to know more about them, I also host a radio show where I interview authors. Been on the air 19 years. The only time we've taken this break is because of COVID-19. But I've been on the air since 2001, interviewing authors from all around the world. Again, go to my website, markamedley.com.